The Forward Unto Dawn had been winning. That was the worst part. They'd been winning. The Covenant cruiser was burning, its shields down, its weapons offline. Master Chief Petty Officer John 117 had led the boarding action personally, clearing the ship deck by deck with a team of ODSTs and Marines. Victory had been seconds away. Then slipspace had gone wrong. The Covenant ship's damaged reactor had destabilized the local space-time in ways the UNSC scientists would spend decades trying to understand, if any of them survived. The Forward Unto Dawn, caught in the gravitational anomaly while still too close to the Covenant vessel, had been pulled into slipspace without coordinates, without navigation, without any control over where or when they'd emerge. The transition felt like being torn apart at the molecular level. Master Chief's Mjolnir armor's shields flared, absorbing energy that should have killed him instantly. His HUD flickered, displays cycling through error messages faster than even his enhanced mind could process. And then, with a violence that rattled every bolt in the ship's frame, they crashed back into normal space. "Status report." Commander Miranda Keys's voice crackled over the ship-wide comm, strained but controlled. "We've got multiple hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. The ship's AI, not Cortana. She'd been lost months ago, but a newer construct designated Roland reported with mechanical precision. Slipspace drive is offline, main engines at 40%. And Commander, I'm not reading any UNSC navigation beacons at all." "What do you mean none?" Keys demanded. "I mean we're not in UNSC space," Roland replied. "I'm scanning nearby star systems, and nothing matches our charts. Not Earth's sun, not Reach, not even Covenant-controlled sectors. We're somewhere completely unknown." On the Dawn's observation deck, Master Chief stood in full Mjolnir armor, staring at the viewport. Outside, a planet hung in space. Terrestrial, with visible cities even from orbit. But the cities were wrong, too large, too advanced. And above them, ships moved. Not UNSC vessels, not Covenant either, but something else entirely. "Chief," Lieutenant Sarah Palmer, one of the Spartan Furs attached to the Dawn, appeared beside him. "Roland's picking up distress signals from the planet. Multiple sources. Sounds like there's a battle happening down there." "Language?" Chief asked, his voice calm despite the impossible situation. "That's the weird part. Our translation software is working. It's recognizing the signals as, well, as basic. That's what they're calling it. Some kind of galactic standard language that our computers can actually parse, which shouldn't be possible unless this isn't just another part of our galaxy," Chief finished. "We're somewhere else entirely." An alert klaxon interrupted them. Roland's voice filled the ship. "Multiple contacts emerging from hyperspace. Unknown vessel classifications, but they're big, and they're powering weapons." Through the viewport, massive wedge-shaped ships appeared. Star destroyers, though the UNSC crew had no name for them yet. They were kilometers long, bristling with weapons, and their turbo-laser batteries were already tracking the Forward Unto Dawn. "Shields up," Keys ordered. "Roland, get me firing solutions on those vessels. All hands to battle stations." "Commander," Roland interrupted. "I'm receiving a transmission, audio only, playing now." A voice filled the bridge. Authoritative, cold, speaking in that strange but comprehensible language. "Attention unidentified vessel. You are in violation of Imperial space. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will be met with immediate destruction. This is your only warning." "Imperial?" Keys muttered. "Roland, what do we know about these Imperials?" "Analyzing transmissions and broadcasts from the planet below," the AI replied. "Preliminary assessment. We've entered a region controlled by something called the Galactic Empire. Authoritarian government, massive military, controls thousands of star systems, and Commander, they're currently bombarding civilian targets on the planet below. Estimates suggest millions of non-combatants are in danger." Master Chief's hands clenched. He'd spent 30 years fighting the Covenant, Aliens bent on humanity's extinction who had no qualms about glassing entire planets. He'd watched worlds burn, seen billions die, lost friends and comrades to genocidal warfare. The idea of a human government doing the same thing to its own people made something cold and hard settle in his chest. "Commander," Chief said quietly over the command channel. "What are your orders?" Miranda Keyes was silent for a long moment. Then, "Roland, broadcast on all frequencies. Make sure those Imperial ships can hear us. This is Commander Miranda Keyes of the UNSC frigate Forward Unto Dawn. We will not power down, we will not surrender, and we will not stand by while you massacre civilians. You want a fight? You've got one." "Commander, with respect," Palmer interjected. "We're one frigate against 5 capital ships. The odds are..." "Irrelevant," Chief interrupted. "We've faced worse." "Spartans," Keyes said, and there was steel in her voice. "Prepare for combat operations. Marines, ODSTs, all combat personnel to deployment stations. Roland, spin up the Mac. Let's show these Imperials what the UNSC can do." The response from the Star Destroyers was immediate. Turbo laser fire erupted from their batteries, massive bolts of green energy streaking toward the dawn. The frigate's shields absorbed the first volley, but the impacts rattled the entire ship. "Return fire," Keyes ordered. "Mac rounds, full power." The Dawn's magnetic accelerator cannon, a weapon that fired 3,000-ton slugs at a fraction of light speed, discharged with a sound like thunder. The round crossed the distance between ships in less than a second and struck the lead Star Destroyer's shields with kinetic force equivalent to a small nuclear weapon. The Star Destroyer's shields failed instantly. The Mac round punched through its hull, through multiple decks, through the reactor containment, and out the other side. The massive Imperial vessel split in half, secondary explosions lighting up space as its power systems catastrophically failed. "Then perhaps," Tarkin said coldly, "we should take this more seriously. All ships, concentrated fire, destroy that vessel." The remaining 4 Star Destroyers opened fire simultaneously, and this time the Dawn's shields couldn't hold. Turbo laser bolts penetrated the defensive barrier, scoring hits across the frigate's hull. Armor melted, bulkheads buckled, but UNSC ships were built to take punishment, designed to fight the Covenant's superior technology through sheer durability and tactics. "Hull breaches on decks 4 and 9, Roland reported. "Shield generators offline, Mac cannon, recharging, 20 seconds to next shot." "We can't last 20 seconds, Palmer observed, watching the tactical display as the Star Destroyers maneuvered for better firing angles. "Then we go to the planet," Chief said. "Commander, if we can reach the atmosphere, we can use the planet's mass as cover, make them risk hitting their own assets if they want to get us." "Agreed," Keyes said immediately. "Roland, emergency descent. All power to engines and whatever shields we have left. Get us groundside." The Forward Unto Dawn dove toward the planet, burning through the atmosphere at speeds that would have torn apart a less robust vessel. Behind them, the Star Destroyers followed, but their fire became more cautious as populated areas came into range. Through the viewport, Master Chief could see the battle raging on the surface. A city, massive, sprawling, clearly under siege. White armored soldiers, stormtroopers, his HUD tagged them based on intercepted communications, were advancing through streets while civilians fled. And fighting back, desperately outgunned, were resistance fighters in mismatched gear, using primitive energy weapons. "That's our landing zone," Keyes said, highlighting a section of the city where the resistance was making their last stand. "If we're going to be stuck in this galaxy, we might as well help the people fighting tyranny. Spartans, Marines, ODSTs, prepare for immediate deployment. Show these Imperials what UNSC ground forces can do." The Dawn came in hard, its remaining repulsors barely slowing the descent. It crashed into an industrial district with enough force to crater the ground, but the ship's frame held. Before the dust had even settled, the deployment bays opened. Master Chief was first out, MA-5D assault rifle in hand, motion tracker active. Behind him came Palmer and 3 other Spartanovs, then squads of ODSTs in their distinctive armor, then waves of UNSC Marines. They hit the ground ready for combat, moving with the practiced efficiency of soldiers who'd fought humanity's extinction and survived. "Roland," Chief said over the command net, "give me tactical." 600 meters northeast, the AI replied, his voice transmitted directly to Chief's helmet. "Stormtrooper battalion pushing toward what looks like a rebel command post. Approximately 200 resistance fighters, poorly armed, about to be overrun. Also reading multiple civilian shelters in the line of fire." "Rules of engagement?" Palmer asked. "Save the civilians," Chief said simply. "Everything else is secondary. Marines, suppressing fire on the stormtrooper advance. ODSTs, I want flanking positions. Spartans, with me." They moved through the ruined city like a well-oiled machine. UNSC Marines took up positions and opened fire with their MA-5 assault rifles, weapons that fired 7.62mm armor-piercing rounds at 900 rounds per minute. The stormtroopers, expecting the ineffective blaster fire they were used to, suddenly found themselves facing kinetic weapons that punched straight through their armor plating. White armor cracked. Stormtroopers fell. The Imperial advance staggered. "What are they using?" an Imperial officer shouted over the Stormtrooper command net. "Those aren't blasters. Our armor isn't stopping their rounds." Master Chief led the Spartans in a direct assault on the Imperial front line. At over 7 feet tall in Mjolnir armor, moving with enhanced speed and strength, the Spartans were beyond anything the Stormtroopers had trained to fight. Chief's assault rifle cut through squad after squad, each burst precisely placed. When a Stormtrooper got close, Chief simply grabbed him and threw, hurling the soldier 15 meters through the air to crash into his comrades. A Stormtrooper fired at Chief point-blank range. The blaster bolt struck his shields, which flared bright blue and absorbed the energy harmlessly. Chief shot the trooper twice in the chest and kept moving. "Their armor!" "A Stormtrooper," Sergeant reported desperately. "It has shields. Our weapons aren't penetrating." "Then use heavy weapons," the Imperial officer commanded. "Deploy the ATST walkers." 2 ATST scout walkers, bipedal machines armed with blaster cannons and grenade launchers, stomped into the street, their weapons tracking toward the Spartan positions. They opened fire, and this time the volume of energy was enough to strain even Mjolnir shields. "Spartans, focus fire," Chief ordered. He switched his assault rifle to full auto and aimed for the ATST's cockpit viewports. The armor-piercing rounds punched through the relatively thin transparasteel, and the walker's pilot slumped dead over his controls. The machine toppled, crushing several stormtroopers who couldn't get clear in time. Palmer took down the second walker with a precisely thrown fragmentation grenade into its leg joint. The explosion severed the mechanical limb, and the ATST crashed sideways into a building. "ODST Alpha, what's your status?" Chief asked over the command net. "We've secured the rebel command post," Gunnery Sergeant Buck reported. "These rebels are pretty shocked to see us. They're asking who we are and where we came from. What should I tell them?" "Tell them we're the UNSC," Chief replied, "and we're here to help." In the rebel command post, a hastily fortified building that had seen better days, a Mon Calamari officer named Admiral Radis stared at the armored human who just saved his entire resistance cell. The soldier was massive, towering over everyone in the room, wearing armor that looked more advanced than anything in the rebel arsenal. "You're not from around here," Radis said carefully. "No, sir," Buck replied. His ODST helmet's faceplate retracted so Radis could see his face. "We're from the United Nations Space Command. We got pulled into your galaxy by accident, but we saw what the Empire was doing to your people, and we couldn't stand by." "The UNSC," Radis repeated slowly. "I've never heard of any government by that name. And your weapons, they're far more effective than our blasters. Your armor, your tactics. You fought through a stormtrooper battalion like it was nothing." "With respect, sir," Buck said, "stormtroopers are poorly trained, their armor is inadequate, and their tactics are outdated. We've spent decades fighting an enemy that makes the Empire look like amateurs. The Covenant would have glassed this entire city from orbit by now. The Covenant? Long story, Buck replied. But the short version is we're soldiers, we fight tyranny, and right now your rebellion looks like it could use some help. So what do you say? Want to work together? Before Radis could answer, the building shook. Not from weapons fire, but from something heavier. Something that made even the Spartans' motion trackers ping with warning signals. Roland, Chief said over the command net. What am I looking at? Massive energy signature, the AI replied, his voice tense. Reading as organic. Chief, there's something coming toward your position, and it's giving off force readings that are off the charts. Whatever it is, it's powerful. Through the ruined streets, through the smoke and fire, a figure walked. He was tall, clad in black armor, a cape flowing behind him, breathing with mechanical regularity. His hand was extended, and stormtroopers who'd been pinned down by UNSC fire suddenly found themselves lifted, their weapons floating back to their hands. Darth Vader, Radis whispered with barely concealed terror. The Emperor's enforcer. If he's here personally, we're all dead. Master Chief watched the approaching figure through his rifle's scope. He'd faced countless enemies, Covenant elites, brutes, hunters, even Forerunner constructs. This Vader looked dangerous, yes, but Chief had been in combat for 30 years. He'd never lost a battle that mattered. He wasn't about to start now. All UNSC forces, Chief said calmly over the command net. We have an HVT approaching. Unknown capabilities, possibly hostile. Weapons free on my mark. Let's show this Dark Lord what happens when you threaten civilians under UNSC protection. Vader stopped in the middle of the street, his mask turning toward the UNSC positions. Through the Force, he could sense them. Being strong in body but absent from the Force, wielding weapons he didn't recognize, wearing armor that hummed with unfamiliar technology. Interesting, Vader said, his mechanical voice carrying across the battlefield. The Empire welcomes you to this galaxy. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick. Master Chief stepped into the open, assault rifle aimed at Vader's center mass. At 7 feet tall in Mjolnir armor, he was an imposing figure, a Spartan, humanity's best, standing between tyranny and innocence. UNSC doesn't surrender, Chief said, and we don't let tyrants massacre civilians. Stand down, or we will put you down. For a long moment, Vader simply stared at this armored soldier who dared challenge him. Then he ignited his lightsaber, the red blade humming with barely contained power. So be it, Vader said. Let us see if your armor can withstand the dark side of the Force. The battle for this galaxy's freedom was about to begin, and the UNSC had just declared war on the Empire. Master Chief had faced impossible odds before. He'd stood alone against Covenant armies, destroyed Halo rings that could wipe out all sentient life in the galaxy, fought Forerunner constructs that had survived for 100,000 years. He'd learned long ago that victory wasn't about overwhelming power. It was about tactics, timing, and the will to do whatever it took to complete the mission. But Darth Vader was something new. The Dark Lord moved first, his hand extending. Chief felt an invisible force grip his armor, trying to lift him off his feet. His Mjolnir systems registered the external pressure, compensated with magnetic boots that locked to the Durasteel street, and Chief held his ground. But barely. Interesting, Vader observed, his mechanical breathing steady. Your armor resists the Force, but for how long? Chief opened fire. The MA-5D assault rifle barked, 30 rounds of 7.62mm armor-piercing ammunition streaking toward Vader at 905 meters per second. The Dark Lord's lightsaber moved in a blur, deflecting every shot with precision that defied physics. Bullets ricocheted off the energy blade, embedding themselves in walls and pavement. Spartans, spread out, Chief ordered over the command net. Crossfire pattern, suppress and flank. Palmer and the other Spartan foes moved with enhanced speed, circling Vader, laying down fire from multiple angles. The tactic had worked against countless enemies. No matter how skilled a combatant was, they couldn't block attacks from all directions simultaneously. But Vader wasn't bound by normal limitations. The Dark Lord extended both hands, and suddenly every UNSC soldier in the street felt an invisible pressure crushing down on them. Marines staggered under the weight. ODSTs fell to their knees. Even the Spartans' enhanced strength struggled against the telekinetic assault. "Your weapons are impressive," Vader said, his voice carrying over the sound of combat. "But they are still just weapons. The Force is beyond your comprehension." Chief switched tactics. He pulled a fragmentation grenade from his belt, primed it, and threw with Spartan-enhanced strength. The grenade arced through the air at over 100 kilometers per hour, its trajectory calculated by his armor's targeting computer. Vader caught it with the Force, suspended it in mid-air, and then sent it flying back toward the UNSC positions. Chief dove, his shields flaring as the explosion erupted behind him. Shrapnel pinged off Mjolnir armor, but the Spartans weathered it. "He can manipulate physical objects," Roland's voice reported in Chief's helmet. "The Force appears to be a telekinetic energy field, suggests gravitational or electromagnetic manipulation, possibly quantum level. Chief, conventional tactics won't work against—" "Then we use unconventional tactics," Chief interrupted. He activated the command net. "ODSTs, I need smoke and flashbangs, maximum dispersal. Marines, suppressing fire on my mark. Spartans, close. Quarters combat. If he can deflect bullets, let's see him deflect 2 tons of Spartan." The ODSTs fired smoke grenades that flooded the street with thick, obscuring clouds. Flashbangs detonated with disorienting light and sound. And through the chaos, Master Chief charged. At full sprint, a Spartan 2 in Mjolnir armor could reach 60 kilometers per hour and hit with the force of a small vehicle. Chief crossed the distance to Vader in seconds, his armored fist already swinging in a strike that could dent tank armor. Vader's lightsaber came up, but Chief twisted mid-strike, letting the blade pass millimeters from his shields. His fist connected with Vader's armored chest with enough force to send the Dark Lord flying backward into a building. The impact cratered the wall. "Spartans converge," Chief ordered. Palmer arrived first, her combat knife, made of titanium alloy, striking toward the joints in Vader's armor. The Dark Lord recovered with impossible speed, using the Force to push her back, but the moment of distraction allowed another Spartan to land a kick that would have broken bones in a normal human. Vader stumbled, and for the first time, his mechanical breathing accelerated. These soldiers were stronger than anything he'd faced, faster, more coordinated. Their armor absorbed his Force lightning. Their weapons could potentially penetrate his defenses, and their tactics were flawless. "Enough!" Vader roared, and unleashed the full power of the dark side. The Force exploded outward in a wave of telekinetic fury. Spartans were thrown backward. ODSTs crashed into walls. Even Master Chief, with his armor's enhanced strength, was lifted off his feet and hurled through a storefront. Chief's shields took the brunt of the impact, flickering yellow then red before stabilizing. He rolled to his feet, already assessing damage. Armor integrity at 87%, shields recharging, no systems compromised. Around him, his team was recovering with similar efficiency. But the civilians in the nearby shelters didn't have Mjolnir armor, didn't have enhanced physiology. The Force wave had collapsed buildings, and Chief could hear screams from trapped survivors. "Spartans, civilian rescue," Chief ordered immediately. "I'll keep Vader occupied. Palmer, get those people out." "Chief, you can't fight him alone," Palmer protested. "That's an order, Lieutenant." Palmer hesitated only a moment, then sprinted toward the collapsed buildings with her team. Chief turned back to face Vader, who was approaching through the smoke and debris. Lightsaber ignited. "You prioritize the civilians over tactical advantage," Vader observed. "Noble, foolish, but noble." "They're what we're fighting for," Chief replied, reloading his assault rifle. "Every mission, every battle, it's about protecting humanity. That's what being a soldier means." "I was a soldier once," Vader said, and there was something in his mechanical voice. Regret? Memory? "I fought for the Republic, believed in justice. But I learned that power is the only thing that matters. Only the strong survive. Only through strength can order be maintained. No, Chief said simply. That's what tyrants believe. Real strength is protecting those who can't protect themselves. That's what the UNSC stands for. That's what I fight for. He charged again, but this time Vader was ready. The Dark Lord used the Force to rip chunks of debris from the ground and hurl them at supersonic speeds. Chief's shields absorbed the impacts, but each hit drained their charge. He returned fire, forcing Vader to defend with his lightsaber, using the distraction to close distance. At close range, Chief was in his element. He'd been trained in hand-to-hand combat since age 6, enhanced with Spartan augmentations, armored in the most advanced technology humanity had ever created. His strikes were precise, calculated, delivered with strength that could flip a warthog. But Vader had decades of experience, the Force guiding his movements, the dark side fueling his power. They fought in a blur of motion. Chief's armored fists against Vader's lightsaber, kinetic force against telekinetic power, UNSC training against Sith mastery. Chief! Roland's voice cut through the combat. The Dawn is taking fire from orbit. Star destroyers are targeting the ship with everything they have. We can't hold them off much longer. Commander Keyes' status, Chief demanded over the command net, while dodging a lightsaber strike that would have bisected him. We're holding, barely, Keyes replied, her voice tight with stress. But Chief, we've got a bigger problem. I'm reading massive energy signatures in orbit. Something's jumping in. Multiple signatures. If those are more Star Destroyers, we're finished. Through the Force, Vader felt the arrivals too. His stance shifted, becoming defensive. It seems reinforcements have arrived, though I suspect not for either of us. In orbit above the planet, the space-time distortions of hyperspace gave way to dozens of new vessels. But these weren't the wedge-shaped Star Destroyers of the Empire. These were rebel ships, Mon Calamari cruisers, Nebulon B frigates, converted civilian transports armed with whatever weapons the rebellion could scavenge. Leading them was the Home One, flagship of Admiral Akbar. The Mon Calamari admiral had received Admiral Radiss's desperate transmission about unknown allies who'd turned the tide of battle, who fought with weapons and tactics beyond anything in the rebel arsenal. All ships, engage the Imperial fleet, Akbar ordered, and get me a communication channel with that UNSC frigate. I want to know who these people are. On the forward unto Dawn's bridge, Commander Keyes received the hail. Roland, patch them through. Commander Keyes, this is Admiral Akbar of the Rebel Alliance. The translated voice came through. We've monitored your engagement with the Empire. Your weapons, your tactics, they're unlike anything we've seen. We're here to help drive the Imperials off. Will you fight with us? Keyes looked at the tactical display. The rebel fleet was outgunned, outmatched, flying ships that were decades old against the Empire's modern war machines. But they were here, fighting tyranny against impossible odds, risking everything for freedom. It reminded her of the UNSC's war against the Covenant. Humanity losing, outmatched, facing extinction, but never surrendering, never giving up, fighting to the last breath. Admiral Akbar, this is Commander Keyes. The UNSC stands with those fighting oppression. Transmitting tactical data now. Let's show the Empire what happens when they face coordinated resistance. Roland, Keyes continued. Mac cannon status? Recharged and ready, Commander. Though I should mention, these rebel ships are watching. When we fire, they're going to have questions about how we just built a weapon this powerful. Then let's give them a demonstration, Keyes said. Target the lead star. Destroyer, fire when ready. The Mac cannon discharged, and 3,000 tons of tungsten titanium alloy accelerated to 30 kilometers per second. The round crossed the distance between ships in less than 2 seconds and struck an Imperial II-class Star Destroyer amidships. The kinetic impact was equivalent to 51 gigatons of TNT. The Star Destroyer's shields, designed to absorb and dissipate energy weapons, did nothing against a physical projectile moving at relativistic speeds. The ship didn't explode. It disintegrated, torn apart at the molecular level by forces it was never designed to withstand. On the bridge of Home 1, Admiral Akbar stared at his tactical display in disbelief. "What weapon was that?" "I don't know, sir," his tactical officer replied. "But it destroyed a Star Destroyer in one shot. Whatever these UNSC people are, their technology is centuries ahead of ours." "Then, perhaps," Akbar said slowly, "we've just found the advantage we've been looking for. All ships, coordinate with the Dawn. Let their weapons clear the path, and we'll provide covering fire." The battle in orbit shifted dramatically. The Dawn's Mac cannon fired again, eliminating another Star Destroyer. Rebel ships swarmed the remaining Imperials, using their superior maneuverability to exploit weaknesses. And Grand Moff Tarkin, watching his fleet fall apart, made a tactical decision. "All ships, retreat," Tarkin ordered coldly. "We'll regroup and return with sufficient force to deal with these UNSC interlopers. But mark my words, they've just made an enemy of the Empire, and the Empire does not forgive." On the ground, Vader sensed the Imperial retreat through the Force. He deactivated his lightsaber, his masked gaze fixed on Master Chief. "This isn't over, Spartan," Vader said. "You and your UNSC have involved yourselves in a war you don't understand. The Empire will study you, adapt to your tactics, counter your weapons, and when we meet again, I will not be caught unprepared." "Neither will I," Chief replied, his assault rifle still trained on Vader. "And for the record, we've fought wars that made your Empire look minor league. We've survived alien genocides, fought against extinction, and won. You want to make us your enemy? That's your mistake." Vader regarded him for a long moment, then used the Force to leap impossible distances, landing on a departing Imperial transport. The vehicle lifted off, joining the retreating Imperial forces. Palmer approached, her helmet retracted, her face showing exhaustion but satisfaction. "All civilians extracted, Chief. 0 casualties on our side. These Imperials really weren't ready for Spartans." "They will be next time," Chief replied, watching the Imperial ships disappear into the sky. "Roland, casualties." "Surprisingly light," the AI reported. "A few injuries, no KIA. Your armor held up against their weapons better than expected. And Chief, the rebels are requesting a face-to-face meeting. They want to know everything about the UNSC, our capabilities, our intentions. What should I tell them?" Chief looked around at the city, damaged but standing. Civilians emerging from shelters, rebel soldiers staring at the Spartans with a mixture of awe and confusion. The UNSC had been pulled into a new galaxy, a new war, facing an enemy that controlled thousands of worlds. But they'd also found allies, people fighting for freedom against tyranny, a cause worth fighting for. "Tell them we'll meet," Chief said. "We're going to need allies if we're going to survive here, and from what I've seen, the rebellion needs what we can offer: training, tactics, weapons that actually work. Maybe together we can turn this war around." "Optimistic, Chief," Palmer observed. "The Empire controls most of the galaxy. We're one frigate with maybe 300 combat-effective personnel. How are we supposed to make a difference?" Chief looked at her, and though his helmet hid his face, his voice carried absolute certainty. "We're Spartans. Making a difference against impossible odds is what we do. We'll train their soldiers, upgrade their tactics, show them how to fight smart instead of just brave. The Covenant had the prophets, the brutes, entire fleets that outnumbered us thousands to one. We still won." He activated the command net. "All UNSC personnel, this is Master Chief. We've been pulled into a new galaxy, facing a new enemy. But our mission hasn't changed. Protect humanity, fight tyranny, never surrender. We're going to help these rebels win their war. We're going to show the Empire that freedom can't be crushed by Star Destroyers and Sith Lords. And we're going to prove that the UNSC never, ever leaves people behind. Spartans, Marines, ODSTs, welcome to the rebellion. Let's get to work." Across the battlefield, UNSC forces moved with renewed purpose. Marines helped rebel soldiers evacuate civilians. ODSTs shared ammunition and medical supplies. Spartans worked with rebel engineers to assess defensive positions. And on the bridge of Home 1, Admiral Akbar watched holographic footage of Master Chief fighting Darth Vader to a standstill, of Spartans shrugging off blaster fire, of a single Mac round destroying a Star Destroyer. "These UNSC people," Akbar said slowly, "they could change everything. The Empire has never faced an enemy like this. Soldiers who don't fear Vader, weapons that can destroy capital ships, tactics that actually work against overwhelming numbers." "Should we trust them?" his aide asked. "They fought to save civilians even when tactical advantage demanded they pursue Vader," Akbar replied. "They stood against the Empire despite having no stake in our war. They're either the best allies we could hope for or the most dangerous threat we've ever faced. Either way, we need to learn everything we can about them. And if they decide to take over, if their UNSC decides they want to rule this galaxy instead of the Empire..." Akbar looked at the footage again. Master Chief, risking his life to protect people he'd never met, refusing to sacrifice civilians for tactical advantage, standing up to the Empire because it was the right thing to do. "Then I think," Akbar said quietly, "we'd be in better hands than we are now. But I don't believe that's their intention. These are soldiers, not conquerors, warriors, not tyrants. And right now, that's exactly what the rebellion needs." The first battle between the UNSC and the Galactic Empire had ended. The Empire had retreated, bloodied but not defeated. The rebellion had gained powerful allies, but also made themselves an even bigger target. And Master Chief Petty Officer John 1017, standing amid the ruins of a city he'd helped save, knew that this was just the beginning. The Empire would return. Vader would return. And next time, they'd be prepared for UNSC tactics and weapons, but the UNSC would be ready too. Because that's what Spartans did. They adapted, they overcame, and they won, even in a galaxy far, far away. The rebel base on Yavin 4 had never seen anything like it. In the 3 weeks since the UNSC's arrival, the jungle moon had transformed from a desperate hideout into something approaching a proper military installation. UNSC Marines drilled rebel soldiers in fire and maneuver tactics. ODSTs ran insurgency operations workshops. And the Spartans, those towering warriors in their impossibly advanced armor, demonstrated combat techniques that made even veteran rebel commandos look like amateurs. In the main hangar, Master Chief stood before a holographic display showing the galactic map. Red markers indicated Imperial strongholds. Blue showed rebel-controlled territory, precious little of it. And yellow marked UNSC reconnaissance data gathered over the past weeks by longsword fighters that could outrun TIE interceptors and scan Imperial facilities without being detected. "The Empire controls approximately 70% of known space," Roland reported, his avatar flickering beside the display. "Population under Imperial rule, approximately 100 trillion sentient beings. Military assets, 25,000 Star Destroyers, millions of TIE fighters, countless stormtrooper legions. The rebellion, by comparison, has maybe 50 capital ships and a few thousand fighters scattered across dozens of cells." "We've faced worse odds," Chief replied calmly. "With respect, Chief, no we haven't," Palmer interjected. She was reviewing armor diagnostics nearby, her Spartan 4 suit showing wear from constant training exercises. "The Covenant War was brutal, but even at our worst, we had the infrastructure of UNSC space. Here, we're one frigate with limited ammunition, no resupply, and no reinforcements coming. Ever. Then we adapt," Chief said. "The rebellion has numbers, untrained, poorly equipped, but willing to fight. We have expertise, training protocols that work, tactics that can overcome superior firepower. We share what we know, and they give us what we need to survive here." The hangar doors opened, and Admiral Akbar entered with Princess Leia Organa. The young senator had become the rebellion's political leader after Alderaan's destruction, an event that had been explained to the UNSC personnel with grim efficiency. An entire planet, vaporized by the Death Star as a demonstration of power. It reminded Chief of Reach, of watching his homeworld burn while the Covenant glassed its surface. The anger he'd felt then was what he felt now, looking at the Empire's casual genocide. "Master Chief," Leia said, her voice carrying authority despite her youth, "we've received intelligence from Bothan spies. The Empire is massing forces at Kuat drive yards. They're building something, a new superweapon, larger than the Death Star, and they've assigned Darth Vader personally to oversee its security." "How large a force?" Chief asked. 15 Star Destroyers, including Vader's flagship, the Executor, a superstar destroyer that's 8 times larger than standard models. Plus, fighter complements, ground forces, and the shipyard's own defenses. It's the most heavily defended location in the Empire, outside of Coruscant itself. "You want us to attack it?" Chief said. It wasn't a question. "We want to know if it's possible," Leia corrected. "The Death Star nearly destroyed the rebellion. If the Empire completes another superweapon, we're finished. But Kuat is too well defended for a conventional assault. Even with your Mac cannon, the Dawn can't fight 15 Star Destroyers alone." "No," Chief agreed. "But we don't need to fight them all. We need to create an opportunity." "Palmer, how many Spartans are combat effective?" "All 5 of us, including you," Palmer replied. "Plus Commander Sarah Palmer and Blue Team if we can get them out of cryo. That's 9 Spartans total. Roland, can the Dawn generate a slip-space rupture inside Kuat's defensive perimeter?" The AI paused, processing. "Theoretically, yes. Our slip-space drives work differently than their hyperdrives. We can make precision jumps, even into gravity wells. But Chief, jumping that close to a shipyard would be suicide. We'd emerge in the middle of their fleet." "Exactly," Chief said. He turned to the holographic display, manipulating it to show Kuat drive yards. "We don't win by outfighting 15 Star Destroyers. We win by not fighting them at all. The Dawn makes a precision jump, deploys Spartans and ODSTs directly onto the shipyard, and we sabotage the superweapon from inside. Slipspace jump out before the Empire can respond." "That's insane," Akbar said flatly. "Even assuming your slipspace technology works as you describe, you'd be surrounded by thousands of Imperial personnel, stormtroopers, security droids. 9 Spartans can't fight through an entire shipyard." "We don't fight through it," Chief replied. "We infiltrate, set charges on critical systems, destroy the superweapon under construction, then extract. Spartans are trained for this: small unit operations in hostile territory. It's what we do." "And if something goes wrong," Leia asked, "if you can't extract, if the Empire captures UNSC technology?" "Then we activate the Dawn's Coal Protocol," Chief said. "The ship self-destructs, taking all UNSC technology with it. No trace left for the Empire to study. But it won't come to that. Spartans don't fail missions." Palmer snorted. "Chief, you realize you just jinxed us, right?" "I don't believe in jinxes," Chief replied. "I believe in training, planning, and execution. Commander Keyes, can the Dawn make the jump?" On the bridge of the Forward Unto Dawn, Miranda Keyes reviewed the tactical plan with growing apprehension. Jumping into the heart of the Empire's most defended shipyard, deploying ground forces, then jumping out before being destroyed. It was the kind of operation that ended in court-martials or posthumous medals. Usually both. But it was also the kind of operation that could change the war. "Roland, probability of success?" Keyes asked. "Calculating based on available data. 18% chance of mission success without casualties. 42% chance of mission success with acceptable losses. 37% chance of catastrophic failure resulting in destruction of the Dawn and all personnel. 3% margin of error. So basically, a coin flip," Keyes muttered. "But if we do nothing, the Empire builds another superweapon and the rebellion dies. At least this way, we're being proactive about our probable deaths." "Commander, are you actually approving this?" Roland asked. "I'm a Keyes," Miranda replied with a grim smile. "My father flew the Pillar of Autumn straight into a halo ring to stop the Covenant. Crazy suicide missions are a family tradition. Start calculating jump coordinates. And Roland? Make sure the Coal Protocol is ready to execute on my authorization. If we go down fighting, and we don't leave anything for the Empire to weaponize. 3 days later, Blue Team emerged from cryo. John 117 stood in the cryo bay as his fellow Spartans, Linda, Kelly, and Fred, went through post-cryo medical checks. They'd been his team since childhood, the closest thing to family he had. Seeing them conscious again felt like a part of himself being restored. "Chief," Fred said, his voice still rough from cryo sleep. "Roland briefed us. We're in another galaxy, fighting an evil empire, and you've already pissed off their equivalent of a Covenant Supreme Commander?" "Darth Vader," Chief confirmed. "Force user, telekinetic abilities, skilled combatant, survived direct engagement with me. So, basically Tuesday for us," Kelly quipped, running diagnostics on her armor. As the fastest Spartan, she'd always had a competitive streak with Chief. "What's the mission?" "Infiltrate Kuat drive yards, sabotage Imperial superweapon, extract before they know we're there." Linda, already checking her SRS-99 sniper rifle, nodded approvingly. "Stealth operation, good. I was getting tired of all these frontal assaults the rebels seem to favor." "The rebels don't have Mjolnir armor or Spartan training," Chief pointed out. "They fight with what they have, courage and desperation. We're going to show them that tactics matter more than numbers." "And if this goes wrong," Fred asked, "then we make sure it goes wrong for the Empire too," Chief replied. "Full loadout, active camo, suppressed weapons. We're going in quiet, but we're coming out loud. Understood?" "Sir, yes sir," the Spartans replied in unison. The mission briefing included not just Spartans, but a platoon of ODSTs led by Gunnery Sergeant Buck, rebel commandos who'd been training with UNSC forces, and Princess Leia herself, who'd insisted on accompanying the operation over Admiral Akbar's protests. "Your Highness," Chief said carefully, "this is a combat operation in hostile territory. With respect, you're a political leader, not a soldier." "With respect, Master Chief," Leia replied coolly. "I've been fighting the Empire since I was 14. I've led commando raids, survived interrogation by Vader himself, and watched my entire planet die. I'm not sitting this one out while you risk your lives to save the rebellion. I'm going, and that's final." Chief looked at her, really looked at her. She was young, maybe early 20s, but her eyes carried the weight of someone who'd seen far too much war. It reminded him of the expression he saw in mirrors, back when he had time for such things. "Understood," Chief said. "But you follow orders, mine. If I say evacuate, you evacuate. If I say hide, you hide. Agreed?" "Agreed," Leia said. "Though I should warn you, I'm not very good at following orders I disagree with." "Then you'll fit right in with ODSTs," Buck muttered, earning laughs from his squad. The Forward Unto Dawn entered slipspace with a reality-tearing shriek that made the rebel observers watching from Yavin 4 flinch. The transition was violent, nothing like the smooth hyperspace jumps they were used to, and it deposited the frigate exactly 500 kilometers from Kuat drive yards, inside the shipyard's defensive perimeter, but outside immediate weapons range. "Alarms are going off across their entire fleet," Roland reported. "They've never seen a ship appear this close without using hyperspace lanes. They're confused, disorganized. You've got maybe 90 seconds before they coordinate a response." "Pelican away," the pilot reported. "Spartans and strike team deployed. Good luck down there." The Pelican dropship screamed toward the shipyard at speeds that would have torn apart most Star Wars craft. Its UNSC-grade armor shrugged off the scattered defensive fire from surprised shipyard security, and it latched onto an exterior docking port with magnetic clamps. "Breaching," Fred reported, planting a shaped charge on the airlock. The explosion was precise, controlled, and opened a hole large enough for the Spartans to enter in full armor. They moved through the shipyard like ghosts. Active camouflage made them nearly invisible, their footsteps silent despite wearing half-ton armor, their weapons suppressed. Security personnel walked past without noticing the shimmering outlines of humanity's most lethal soldiers. "Target is 3 levels down," Roland transmitted directly to their neural interfaces. "Super weapon under construction in Bay 327. I'm picking up massive power signatures. This thing makes the Death Star look like a firecracker. Chief, if the Empire finishes this weapon, they'll be able to destroy entire star systems, not just planets. Then we make sure they don't finish it, Chief replied. Linda, find an overwatch position. Kelly, Fred, you're with me. Blue team, let's move. They descended through the shipyard's industrial levels, passing stormtrooper patrols and Imperial technicians. At one point, an officer walked directly into Kelly's cloaked form and stumbled, confused. She simply sidestepped, and he continued on, muttering about faulty gravity plates. Bay 327 was massive, a construction space that could have held multiple UNSC frigates, and at its center, slowly taking shape, was a weapon that made Chief's tactical instincts scream warnings. It was cylindrical, kilometers long, covered in focusing arrays and power conduits. The energy readings alone suggested it could crack planetary cores. Charges here, here, and here, Chief marked on their HUD displays. Fred, you take primary power coupling. Kelly, coolant systems. I'll handle the main reactor. 30-minute timers. When they go, this whole section will collapse. What about that? Linda asked over the comm. Her sniper scope focused on a figure entering the bay. Darth Vader strode into Bay 327, his cape flowing, his mechanical breathing echoing across the massive space. Behind him came a squad of Imperial Royal Guards and what Chief's IFF tagged as Inquisitors, Force users in black, armor, lightsabers at their hips. He knows we're here, Fred observed. How? The Force, Leia whispered over the comm from her position with the ODSTs. He can sense disturbances, intentions, danger. Your active camo hides you from sight, but not from the Force. Then we adapt, Chief said. He deactivated his active camo, stepping into the open. Blue team, set charges and prepare for extraction. I'll keep Vader occupied. Chief, you can't fight him and all those guards alone. Kelly protested. I don't need to beat them, Chief replied. I just need to delay them long enough for you to complete the mission. Now move. That's an order. He stepped fully into the open, assault rifle raised. Vader, we meet again. The Dark Lord stopped, his mask turning toward Chief. The Spartan. I wondered when you would appear. The Force whispered of your presence the moment you entered this system. Did you truly think you could infiltrate my shipyard undetected? We detected you just fine, Chief replied. And we've already set charges on your superweapon. In 30 minutes, this entire bay is going to be slag. You can try to stop me, or you can try to defuse them. Your choice. It was a bluff. The charges weren't set yet. Blue team was still planting them. But Vader didn't know that. The Dark Lord hesitated, reaching out through the Force to sense truth in Chief's words. You're lying, Vader said finally. But lies can contain strategic value. Royal Guards, search the bay for explosives. Inquisitors, with me. Let us test how long a Spartan can survive against the dark side. The battle that followed was chaos. Chief's assault rifle barked, suppressed but still deadly, forcing Vader to defend with his lightsaber. The Inquisitors spread out, their Force senses trying to locate the cloaked Spartans even as Blue Team moved through the shadows, planting charges with precision. Vader fought differently this time. He'd studied the footage of their previous engagement, learned from it, adapted. His lightsaber strikes targeted joints in Chief's armor, weak points where even Mjolnir had vulnerabilities. His Force powers focused on disruption rather than overwhelming force, trying to throw off Chief's aim, destabilize his footing. Your armor is impressive, Vader acknowledged, deflecting another burst of fire. But armor has weaknesses, joints, seals, power supplies, and I have had weeks to study you, Spartan, to learn how your technology works, to find its flaws. An Inquisitor appeared behind Chief, lightsaber descending toward his back. Chief spun, caught the blade on his armored forearm. The shields held, barely, and drove his fist into the Inquisitor's chest with enough force to crack ribs through armor. The Force user fell, gasping. Charges set, Fred reported over the comm. 28 minutes to detonation. Chief, we need to extract now. Roger that, Chief replied. Blue team, fall back to the Pelican. I'm right behind you. Like hell you are, Kelly said. Fred, suppress the guards. Linda, I need covering fire on those Inquisitors. We're not leaving Chief alone with Vader again. Spartans, Chief said, putting command authority into his voice. That's an order. Complete the mission. I'll handle extraction. With respect, sir, Fred replied, and Chief could hear the smile in his voice. Spartans don't leave Spartans behind. Now stop arguing and start running. We've got your 6. Linda's sniper rifle cracked. Even suppressed, the SRS-99 was loud, and an Inquisitor's head snapped back. A hole punched through his skull before he could raise his lightsaber. Kelly appeared, moving at speeds that made her a blur even to enhanced vision, her combat knife finding gaps in Royal Guard armor. Fred laid down suppressing fire that forced Vader himself to take cover. Impressive loyalty, Vader observed, his lightsaber blocking rounds that should have been impossible to track. But ultimately futile. The Empire has already dispatched reinforcements. You're trapped in this shipyard, Spartan, surrounded by 15 Star Destroyers. There is no escape. You keep saying that, Chief replied, priming a fragmentation grenade. But we keep escaping anyway. Maybe your force isn't as powerful as you think. He threw the grenade, not at Vader, but at the bay's main power coupling, where Fred had just finished planting charges. The explosion was premature, uncontrolled, but it triggered a cascade failure. Lights flickered, alarms screamed, and the superweapons power systems began overloading. Move, Chief ordered, and Blue Team ran. They sprinted through the shipyard's corridors, active camo reactivated, moving faster than security could respond. Behind them, Vader pursued with impossible determination, using the Force to leap over obstacles, to tear through bulkheads, to track them even when they should have been invisible. He's like a Covenant zealot on steroids, Kelly observed, checking her motion tracker. Chief, he's gaining on us. The Pelican is 300 meters ahead, Roland reported. But Chief, we've got a problem. Imperial forces have locked onto its signature. They're moving to intercept. You need to get there before they destroy your ride home. They burst into the docking bay to find the Pelican under fire from stormtroopers. Buck and his ODSTs were holding the boarding ramp, their weapons cutting through white armor with practiced efficiency. Princess Leia was there too, firing a borrowed UNSC pistol with surprising accuracy. About time, Buck shouted. We were starting to think you'd gotten lost. Spartans don't get lost, Fred replied, sliding into the Pelican's troop bay. Everyone in, Chief ordered, providing covering fire as the last ODSTs boarded. Roland, tell the Dawn to prepare for emergency extraction. Already done, the AI replied. Commander Keyes has the slipspace drive spun up, but Chief, Vader's right behind you. The Dark Lord burst into the docking bay, his lightsaber ignited, his cape billowing with dark side power. Chief turned, rifle raised, but before either could attack, the charges they'd planted detonated. The superweapons power core exploded with the force of a small star. The blast tore through Bay 327, through multiple levels of the shipyard, through the very structure of Kuat drive yards itself. Vader felt it through the force, felt the deaths of thousands of Imperial personnel, felt the destruction of years of work, felt the failure that Emperor Palpatine would punish him for. No, Vader roared, using the Force to shield himself from the blast. But Chief wasn't trying to kill Vader. He was just buying time. The Pelican's engines roared to life, and the dropship shot out of the docking bay at maximum acceleration. Behind them, sections of the shipyard collapsed, secondary explosions lighting up space like fireworks. Roland, get us out of here, Chief ordered. The Forward Unto Dawn appeared in a flash of reality-tearing light, its hangar bay doors already open. The Pelican shot inside, magnetic clamps engaged, and before the Imperial fleet could coordinate their response, the UNSC frigate vanished back into slipspace. In the shipyard's ruins, Darth Vader stood amid the destruction, his breathing labored, his anger a palpable thing. The superweapon was destroyed. The Spartans had escaped, and he had failed the Emperor. But he'd also learned something crucial. The UNSC was dangerous not because of their weapons or armor, but because of their tactics, their coordination, their refusal to surrender even when surrounded. They fought like the Jedi once had, not as individuals, but as a unified force. "Lord Vader," an officer approached cautiously. "The Emperor is demanding a report. What should I tell him?" "Tell him," Vader said slowly, his mechanical voice carrying dark promise, "that the UNSC has declared war on the Empire, and that I will personally ensure they regret it." On Yavin 4, the Rebel Alliance celebrated their first major victory against the Empire in months. The superweapon was destroyed, the shipyard was crippled, and they'd accomplished it with minimal losses. But Master Chief didn't celebrate. He stood in the Dawn's hangar, watching his team perform post-mission maintenance on their armor, and knew that this was just the beginning. The Empire would adapt, would study UNSC tactics, would develop countermeasures, and next time, they'd be ready. But so would the Spartans, because that's what they did. They adapted, they trained, they prepared, and they never, ever stopped fighting. Even in a galaxy far, far away, the Emperor's throne room on Coruscant was a place where fear lived. Vast, shadowed, designed to make even the most powerful feel small and insignificant before the dark side's ultimate master. Darth Vader knelt before Emperor Palpatine, his mechanical breathing the only sound in the oppressive silence, waiting for judgment. "The superweapon," Palpatine said, his voice deceptively soft, "destroyed. Kuat drive yards damaged beyond immediate repair, thousands of personnel dead, billions of credits wasted, and all because of these Spartans." "Yes, my master," Vader replied, his voice carrying no excuse, no justification. "I underestimated them. It will not happen again." "Underestimated?" Palpatine's yellow eyes gleamed. "Lord Vader, they infiltrated our most secure facility, evaded detection until the moment they chose to reveal themselves, destroyed a weapon that took years to construct, and escaped without a single casualty. That is not underestimation. That is complete tactical superiority." Lightning crackled from Palpatine's fingers, striking Vader with dark side energy that made even his life support system scream in protest. The Dark Lord endured it silently, knowing that any protest would only intensify the punishment. "These UNSC forces," Palpatine continued, the lightning dissipating, "are unlike anything we have encountered. Their weapons ignore our shields. Their armor resists our blasters. Their tactics are sophisticated beyond anything the rebellion has demonstrated. And their leader, this Master Chief, has fought you to a standstill twice now." "He is skilled," Vader acknowledged. "Enhanced. His armor provides capabilities that rival force powers. But he is not invincible. I have studied him, my master, found patterns in his combat behavior. He prioritizes civilian safety over tactical advantage, protects his subordinates at personal risk. These are exploitable weaknesses." "Then exploit them," Palpatine commanded. "I am reassigning you, Lord Vader. Your sole mission is now the destruction of the UNSC. Find them, study them, learn how their technology works, and when you understand them fully, crush them so completely that the rebellion loses all hope of victory. Can you do this?" "Yes, my master," Vader said, bowing deeper. "The Spartans will fall. I swear it." "See that they do," Palpatine replied. "Because if you fail again, Lord Vader, I will find someone else who can succeed. Grand Admiral Thrawn has expressed interest in this challenge. Perhaps a strategic mind is what we need, rather than brute force." The threat was clear. Vader rose, his anger carefully controlled, channeled into cold determination. The UNSC had humiliated him, made him look weak before the Emperor. That was unforgivable. Master Chief would pay for it with his life. On Yavin 4th, the Rebel Alliance's command center had transformed into something approaching a proper military headquarters. UNSC Marines had helped establish proper defensive perimeters. ODSTs had trained rebel commandos in infiltration techniques. And the Spartans, all 9 of them now, with Blue Team fully operational, had become legendary among the rebel ranks. "They're like Jedi without the Force," one rebel soldier had observed. watching Kelly 087 move through a training course at speeds that defied normal human capability. Maybe better than Jedi, because you can actually see them fight. But the celebration from Kuat was short-lived. In the 3 weeks since the operation, the Empire had responded with systematic brutality. Rebel cells that had been safe for years were suddenly being discovered and eliminated. Imperial intelligence seemed to know exactly where to look, what tactics the rebels would use, how to counter strategies that had worked for months. "They're adapting," Admiral Akbar said during the command briefing. Master Chief, Commander Keyes, and Princess Leia were present, along with other rebel leaders. Every engagement now, the Empire is ready for UNSC tactics. They've started issuing slug-thrower rifles to special forces, kinetic weapons like yours, Chief. They're training stormtroopers in anti-Spartan protocols, and they've begun deploying new armor that our intelligence suggests can withstand your assault rifle rounds. "Show me," Chief said. The holographic display lit up with footage from a recent engagement. Stormtroopers in modified armor, heavier with additional plating, taking positions. When rebel forces using UNSC-trained tactics advanced, the Imperials were ready. Crossfire patterns, suppressing fire, flanking maneuvers that mimicked ODST doctrine. "They're learning from us," Commander Keyes observed. "Every battle, every engagement, they're studying how we fight and adapting. That's concerning." "That's Thrawn," Leia said quietly. "Grand Admiral Thrawn. He's the Empire's best strategist, a genius who studies his enemy's art, culture, tactics, and predicts their behavior with terrifying accuracy. If Palpatine has assigned him to counter the UNSC, we have a serious problem. Then we adapt faster than they can," Chief replied. "Change our tactics every engagement. Never use the same approach twice. Keep them guessing. That works for small operations," Akbar said. "But Chief, we need a decisive victory. Something that proves to the galaxy that the Empire can be beaten. The rebellion is growing. Your successes have inspired thousands to join us. But if we don't show that we can win major battles, that momentum will die." "What do you have in mind?" Keyes asked. "The Imperial garrison on Scarif," Leia said, activating a new holographic display. "It's a heavily defended world where the Empire stores critical military data, Death Star plans, superweapon specifications, strategic deployment information. If we could capture that data, we could identify the Empire's weaknesses, find targets worth hitting, maybe even prevent future superweapons before they're built." "That's suicide," Palmer said flatly. She'd been reviewing the tactical data while the politicians talked. "Scarif has a planetary shield that nothing can penetrate. 2 star destroyers in permanent orbit. Thousands of stormtroopers, shore troopers, and death troopers on the ground. The data vault is in the most secure facility on the planet. Even with Spartans, we'd be looking at 90% casualties." "Which is why," Leia said, "we're not asking the Spartans to assault it directly. We're asking them to do what they do best: infiltrate, acquire the target, and extract. A small team, moving fast, hitting before the Empire realizes we're there." "The Covenant would have called this plan ambitious," Fred observed. "And the Covenant loved suicide missions." "It's not suicide if we plan it right," Chief said, studying the holographic layout of Scarif. "The shield is the main problem. We can't slip space through it. The gravitational interference would tear the Dawn apart. And we can't fight through it conventionally. But we don't need to do either." "Chief," Keyes prompted. "The shield protects against ships," Chief explained. "But it has gaps. Otherwise their own ships couldn't pass through, which means there's a gate, a mechanism that opens to allow Imperial traffic. If we can hijack an Imperial ship, use their codes, we pass right through." "And then?" Akbar asked. "Then Spartans deploy via orbital insertion," Chief continued. "We've done it before, jumping from orbit, using our armor to survive re-entry, landing exactly where we need to be. We hit the data vault, extract the intelligence, and transmit it to the rebel fleet before the Empire can respond." "What about extraction?" Leia asked. "Even if you get the data, how do you escape a planet surrounded by star destroyers?" "We don't," Chief said simply. The Dawn makes a precision slipspace jump, grabs us, and jumps out before the Imperials can respond. 30 seconds on the ground, maximum. In and out before they know. We're there. That's insane, Roland interjected over the speakers. Chief, the precision required for that jump is beyond anything we've attempted. If I'm off by even a kilometer, you'll be stranded on an Imperial planet with no extraction. Then don't be off, Chief replied. You're the most advanced AI the UNSC ever created. If anyone can make that jump, it's you. Flattery will not improve my calculation accuracy, Roland said dryly. But I'll run the simulations. Don't blame me when we accidentally jump into a sun. Over the next week, the plan came together with military precision. A rebel cell on Adu managed to capture an Imperial cargo shuttle, intact, with current access codes. UNSC Marines trained rebel pilots on infiltration protocols. Blue Team ran orbital insertion drills until they could hit landing zones within meters of their target. And Commander Keyes worked with rebel engineers to outfit the Dawn with additional armor plating salvaged from captured Imperial vessels. You know this is crazy, right? Palmer said to Chief the night before the mission. They were in the Dawn's armory, performing final maintenance on their Mjolnir suits. We're dropping onto a planet controlled by the Empire, surrounded by Star Destroyers, to steal data that's probably protected by every security measure they have. And our extraction plan relies on slipspace technology that's never been tested under combat conditions in this galaxy. Yes, Chief agreed, checking his assault rifle's action. But it's also the kind of operation that wins wars. The Covenant had us on the defensive for 30 years. We only started winning when we took the fight to them, when we stopped reacting and started acting. This is how we change the momentum, by being bold when the Empire expects us to be cautious. And if it goes wrong, then we fight our way out, Chief said. Like we always do. Spartans never die, Palmer. We're just missing in action. That's a terrible motto, Palmer muttered, but she was smiling. But I guess it's kept you alive this long. What about Vader? He'll be there, won't he? If the Empire knows we're after critical data, they'll have their best protecting it. Probably, Chief acknowledged. Which is why I'll handle him. Blue Team, you focus on the data vault. Get the intelligence and get out. I'll keep Vader occupied long enough for you to complete the mission. Chief, Kelly started to protest. That's an order, Chief said firmly. The mission comes first, always. If I don't make the extraction window, you leave without me. Understood? Blue Team exchanged glances. Finally, Fred nodded. Understood, sir. But you better make that extraction window, because if we have to explain to Admiral Akbar that we lost you, he'll probably court-martial all of us. The operation began at 0400 hours, Yavin local time. The captured Imperial shuttle, crewed by rebels in stolen stormtrooper armor and carrying Blue Team in the cargo hold, approached Scarif's shield gate. Commander Keyes watched from the Dawn's bridge, positioned 3 light years away, ready to jump the moment Chief transmitted the extraction signal. This is Imperial Shuttle ST-149, requesting access to Scarif, the rebel pilot transmitted, his voice steady despite the tension. We're carrying priority cargo for Director Krennic. There was a long pause. Too long. Chief's motion tracker showed multiple security scans analyzing the shuttle, checking registries, verifying authorization. ST-149, your codes check out, the Imperial controller finally replied. Proceed through the gate. You're cleared for landing pad 9. The shield opened, just a small gap, precisely calculated, and the shuttle passed through. Behind it, the gap closed, sealing them inside the most heavily defended Imperial facility in the sector. We're in, Fred reported over the encrypted channel. Chief, you're up. Chief moved to the shuttle's emergency airlock. Kelly, Fred, Linda, on my mark, we jump. 30,000-foot altitude, full armor, targeting landing zone Alpha. Roland, you have our telemetry. Confirmed, the AI replied. I'm tracking all of you. Try not to die on the way down. It would make the extraction calculation significantly easier. Mark, Chief said, and the airlock blew. 4 Spartans fell from the sky. At 30,000 feet, the air was thin, cold, and moving at terminal velocity. Normal humans would have been unconscious in seconds, dead in minutes. But Spartans weren't normal humans. Their armor systems compensated for pressure and temperature. Their HUDs tracked altitude and trajectory. Their neural interfaces calculated landing vectors with computer precision. At 5,000 feet, they activated their armor's thrust systems, not true flight, but enough to control their descent, to slow from terminal velocity to merely dangerous speeds. They came down like meteorites, cratering the beach outside Scarif's data vault, their armor absorbing impacts that would have turned normal soldiers into paste. "Blue team, sound off," Chief ordered, already scanning for threats. "Kelly, 087, operational. Fred 104, systems green. Linda 058, ready to engage." Around them, the Imperial garrison was responding. Alarms screamed. Shore troopers in specialized armor moved toward the beach. And in the distance, Chief's motion tracker pinged a familiar signature. Massive, powerful, radiating dark side energy. Darth Vader had arrived. "Blue team, move," Chief ordered. "I'll hold the beach. You get that data." They moved with Spartan efficiency, Kelly's enhanced speed carrying her ahead as point, Fred and Linda providing covering fire as they advanced. Behind them, Chief turned to face the approaching Imperial forces, his assault rifle at the ready. Shore troopers emerged from defensive positions, their weapons tracking. Chief's HUD identified them as better trained than standard stormtroopers, more accurate, more coordinated, more dangerous. He engaged with precision, each burst from his rifle dropping targets, but they kept coming, waves of white armor supported by E-Web heavy blasters and combat assault tanks. "Master Chief," Vader's voice carried across the beach, amplified by the Force. "We meet again, but this time there will be no escape. This time you die." The Dark Lord strode forward, cape flowing, lightsaber ignited. Behind him came a full battalion of death troopers, elite forces in black armor, their weapons already tracking Chief's position. "Roland," Chief said calmly, "how long until Blue Team secures the data?" "Estimated 5 minutes," the AI replied. "Can you hold for 5 minutes against Vader and a battalion?" "I've held worse," Chief replied, and charged. He moved with Spartan speed, his assault rifle barking, forcing Vader to defend with his lightsaber. Death troopers opened fire, but Chief's shields absorbed the hits while he returned fire with deadly accuracy. He grabbed a shore trooper, used the body as a shield, threw it into a group of advancing soldiers. Vader met him with the full power of the dark side. Force lightning erupted, striking Chief's shields, draining them faster than they could recharge. The Dark Lord used telekinesis to hurl debris, not small objects, but entire pieces of defensive walls, assault tanks, massive weights that could crush even Mjolnir armor. Chief dodged, rolled, returned fire. His shields failed completely, but Mjolnir's titanium alloy armor held. He switched to his sidearm, an M6D Magnum pistol, when his rifle ran dry, the heavier rounds forcing Vader to defend more actively. "Your determination is admirable," Vader said, his breathing steady despite the combat. "But futile. You cannot defeat me, Spartan. I am the dark side incarnate. I have crushed armies, destroyed worlds, killed Jedi Masters. You are just a soldier with enhanced armor. And you're just a man with a laser sword and magic tricks," Chief replied, holstering his empty pistol and drawing a combat knife. "Let's see which is stronger." He closed to melee range, dangerously close, where Vader's lightsaber could find the gaps in his armor. But it also meant Vader couldn't use his full telekinetic power without risking throwing Chief away from the blade. They fought hand to hand, Chief's enhanced strength against Vader's force-augmented power, knife against lightsaber, tactical training against decades of Sith combat experience. "Blue team to Chief," Fred's voice came through the comm. "We have the data, transmitting to the rebel fleet now. Extraction in 30 seconds. "Roger that," Chief replied, blocking a lightsaber strike with his armored forearm. The blade cut into the titanium, burned through layers, but didn't penetrate completely. "Roland, prepare for emergency extraction." "The Dawn is inbound," Roland confirmed. "But Chief, I'm reading massive power signatures converging on your position. Star destroyers are moving into bombardment formation. If you're not at the extraction point in 30 seconds, I'll be there," Chief interrupted. He kicked Vader hard enough to send the Dark Lord stumbling, then activated the thruster pack salvaged from a Covenant elite. The systems weren't UNSC standard, barely worked with Mjolnir armor, but they provided enough lift to get him airborne. He flew across the beach, Vader pursuing with force-enhanced leaps, Death Troopers firing frantically. Behind him, the Forward Unto Dawn appeared in a flash of torn reality, its hangar bay already open, blue team visible and waving him in. Chief reached the hangar with seconds to spare. The moment his boots hit the deck, Roland executed the slip-space jump. Reality tore, and Scarif disappeared, replaced by the familiar streaking lights of faster-than-light travel. On the beach, Darth Vader stood amid the ruins of the Imperial garrison, his breathing labored, his anger a physical force. Once again, the Spartans had infiltrated, completed their mission, and escaped. Once again, he had failed to stop them. "Lord Vader," an officer approached hesitantly. "The data has been stolen. The rebellion now has access to classified Imperial intelligence, including Death Star specifications. Grand Moff Tarkin is demanding an explanation." "Tell Tarkin," Vader said slowly, his mechanical voice carrying dark promise, "that this is far from over. The Spartans may have won this battle, but they have also revealed their methods, their tactics, their capabilities. We now understand how they fight. And when they appear again, and they will appear again, we will be ready." On Yavin 4, the Rebel Alliance celebrated their greatest intelligence coup in years. The data from Scarif revealed not just Death Star specifications, but dozens of Imperial black sites, fleet deployments, supply routes, and weapon development programs. It was a treasure trove of information that would guide Rebel operations for years. But Master Chief didn't celebrate. He stood in the Dawn's medical bay, watching the ship's doctor treat the lightsaber burns on his forearm. The wound went deep, deeper than he'd admitted during the fight, and would take weeks to fully heal, even with his enhanced physiology. "You're lucky he didn't take the whole arm off," the doctor said, applying specialized medical foam. "That lightsaber cut through Mjolnir armor like it was plastic. If he'd had another second, another angle." "But he didn't," Chief interrupted. "Mission accomplished. 0 casualties. Intelligence secured. That's a win." "Is it?" Commander Keyes entered the medical bay, her expression troubled. "Chief, I've been reviewing the tactical data from Scarif. The Empire was ready for us. Not perfectly, we still succeeded, but they knew we were coming. Their defenses were positioned to counter our tactics. Their response time was too fast. It's like they predicted our operation." "Thrawn," Chief said. "The strategic genius Leia mentioned. He's studying us, learning our patterns. Every engagement, every operation, he's building a profile of how we fight. Which means," Keyes continued, "that the Empire is adapting faster than we are. Eventually, they'll have counters for everything we do. And when that happens, our technological advantage disappears. We become just another rebel cell, struggling to survive against overwhelming Imperial power. Then we need to end this war before that happens," Chief said, standing despite the doctor's protests. "Commander, assemble the command staff. It's time to plan the operation that wins this war permanently." "You're talking about attacking the Death Star," Keyes said. It wasn't a question. "I'm talking about destroying the Empire's symbol of absolute power," Chief replied. "The Death Star represents everything the Empire believes. That overwhelming force can crush any resistance. That fear is stronger than hope. That freedom dies when people are too terrified to fight. We prove that wrong. We destroy their superweapon, and we show the galaxy that tyranny can be defeated. That's how we win this war. The Death Star is the size of a small moon," Keyes pointed out. "Heavily shielded, defended by hundreds of TIE fighters, armed with weapons that can destroy planets. How do you destroy something like that?" Chief looked at the data they'd stolen from Scarif, at the technical readouts and vulnerability analyses. And he found it. a thermal exhaust port, 2 meters wide, leading directly to the reactor core. A design flaw that made the whole station vulnerable. "The same way we've destroyed every impossible target," Chief said. "Precisely, decisively, and with Spartans leading the way. Get me Admiral Akbar and Princess Leia. We're planning the Battle of Yavin. And this time, the UNSC is going to show the Empire what happens when you give humanity's best warriors a clear target and tell them it's impossible." "That sounds like a challenge," Keyes observed. "Good," Chief replied. "Spartans work best when everyone says we can't win. That's when we prove them wrong." As the rebellion prepared for its most desperate gamble, as the Empire massed its forces around the Death Star, as Darth Vader meditated on his repeated failures to stop the Spartans, one truth became clear. The next battle would decide the war. The Death Star would either cement the Empire's rule forever, or its destruction would prove that hope was stronger than fear, that freedom was worth fighting for, and that even the smallest force, a handful of Spartans, a ragtag rebellion, a single shot at an impossible target, could change the galaxy forever. Master Chief had faced extinction before, had fought impossible battles and won, had proven time and again that Spartans never die. Now, in a galaxy far, far away, he would prove it one more time. The Battle of Yavin was coming, and the UNSC was ready. The Death Star's destruction changed everything. When Master Chief personally led the trench run, his longsword fighters' superior maneuverability and targeting systems putting the proton torpedoes exactly where they needed to be, the resulting explosion was visible from a dozen systems. The Empire's ultimate weapon, destroyed by a combination of rebel courage and UNSC precision, proved that tyranny could bleed. But victory came at a cost. The Forward Unto Dawn, providing covering fire during the assault, took catastrophic damage from Vader's TIE Advanced. Commander Miranda Keyes made the same choice her father had made years before. She rammed the crippled frigate into the Death Star's superstructure, buying time for the rebel fleet to escape. Her last transmission was simple. "Spartans never die. They're just missing in action." The UNSC forces, now without their capital ship but still possessing their training, their tactics, and their determination, fully integrated into the Rebel Alliance. Master Chief became a rebel general, his Spartans training the next generation of special forces. UNSC Marines and ODSTs established doctrine that transformed how the rebellion fought. And the technology they shared, carefully, deliberately, knowing that some secrets were too dangerous even for allies, gave the rebellion an edge they'd never possessed. The Empire adapted, as Chief knew they would. Thrawn developed new tactics. Vader learned from his defeats. Imperial forces received better training, superior equipment, strategic doctrine that made them far more dangerous than before. But the rebellion had adapted too, learning from the best soldiers humanity had ever produced. 3 years after the Battle of Yavin, as the rebellion prepared to assault the Empire's new superweapon, a second Death Star under construction above the forest moon of Endor, Master Chief led a strike team that included Han Solo, Princess Leia, and a team of rebel commandos. His mission: disable the shield generator protecting the battle station while the rebel fleet engaged the Imperial forces in orbit. On Endor's surface, surrounded by Ewoks who were fascinated by the tall, armored warriors from beyond the stars, Chief prepared his team for what might be their final battle. The Empire knew they were coming. Thrawn had predicted their strategy with terrifying accuracy. But the rebellion had learned that sometimes victory required walking into the trap and making it fail anyway. "Spartans," Chief said to Blue Team, who'd fought beside him through 3 years of galactic war. "One last mission, one last fight, and then, if we survive, we find a way home. Kelly, Fred, Linda, it's been an honor serving with you. Now let's show the Empire what Spartans can do." The Battle of Endor raged for hours. Master Chief personally confronted Darth Vader one final time, their duel ending not with one killing the other, but with Vader's redemption, the Dark Lord recognizing in Chief's unwavering conviction, the same determination he'd once possessed as Anakin Skywalker. Together they confronted Emperor Palpatine, and together they ended the Sith Lord's reign. As the second Death Star exploded and the Empire collapsed, Master Chief stood on Endor's surface and looked up at alien stars, knowing that somewhere out there, in another reality, Earth existed. The Covenant War had either ended or still raged. His friends, Cortana, the crew of the Pillar of Autumn, everyone he'd left behind, they might think him dead, lost in some final battle. But Spartans never died. They were just missing in action. And someday, somehow, he would find his way home. The rebellion became the New Republic. The galaxy began to heal. And in the archives of the new government, preserved for future generations, was the story of the UNSC. Soldiers from another reality who'd arrived when hope was dying, who'd taught the galaxy that tyranny could be defeated, who'd proven that even the smallest force, fighting for what was right, could change everything. Blue Team remained in the Star Wars galaxy, training new generations, ensuring peace, protecting the freedom they'd fought so hard to establish. They became legends. The Spartans who'd faced down Darth Vader, who'd destroyed the Death Star, who'd shown the galaxy what true warriors looked like. And Master Chief, though his body remained in this new reality, never stopped searching for the way home. Because that's what Spartans did. They completed the mission, no matter how long it took, no matter how impossible it seemed. In two galaxies, across infinite distance, a single truth remained. When humanity's best warriors stand against tyranny, when soldiers fight for something greater than themselves, when heroes refuse to surrender no matter the odds, that's when miracles happen. The UNSC had proven it in their war against the Covenant, and they'd proven it again in a galaxy far, far away.